Okay, I'm going to tie this, this Semi Seal Leech. I'm using this, it's called Arizona Semi Seal Dove, putting an underbody of buggy nymph underneath it to give it kind of a contrast. So, and if you're going to pinch your barbs on, the best way I've found to put beads on is with a pair of cross-lock tweezers. I just get them in there and I just slip it over the hook, and then I just take it out of the vise and rotate it and get it up there. Okay. I'm going to put about, on a 10, I'm going to put about 10 wraps of lead. I do put anywhere between 8 and 12 wraps depending on the size of the hook. And I do it in order to get the fly to jig up and down a little bit, but the other reason I do it is so that it centers the bead. So I'm going to put my lead on first.
Kind of push it up into the back of the bead.
Yeah, what it does, it kind of centers the bead, fills it up. And I'm going to use 6/0 thread on this, 6/0 uni thread, which is pretty tough. I'm going to start it right behind the lead. And then I'm going to coat it with some head cement. And I'm going to put a tail of a marabou on this, but you can also use a big wad of this Semi Seal also. Either way, I'm going to use these are body feathers. These aren't the typical blood midge blood. The sweet spot of this feather is going to be like right in through here. This stuff up here is a little bit short. I'm just going to get rid of that. And I don't want a real thick tail. I just want something fairly sparse. So I'm just going to rip some of this off. And one thing you can do if you want to even it up, you don't want to cut it. So you can take this stuff and just pull it off, and you're going to get an even bunch of it. And I want the tail to be somewhere between 1 and 1.5 times the length of the shank. So I'm going to kind of measure it out, and then where my fingers are there, I'm going to put that right over the barb of the hook. And I want to tie this the full length of the shank in order to build up an underbody. I want to keep that marabou right on top. And when I get to the barb of the hook, instead of just keep wrapping it around, I'm going to take one wrap underneath and pull it and lock it in. Okay. Now I'm going to put a little bit of flash in this thing. I don't want too much flash, but a little bit. So I'm going to use some of this holographic Flashaboo. If you leave it in the bag, and you can just come in here up top and leave a little bit of opening, and you can just come in here and pull out one fiber at a time, or 5 fibers at a time, and then when you put it back, it doesn't look like a dead doll's head like Wayne's over there. So what I'm going to do, I've taken one strand, I'm going to fold it in half, I'm going to cut it. So I've got 2 strands. I've brought my thread forward just a couple of wraps from the base of the tail. I'm going to lay this on top of the hook. I'm going to tie it down with 2 wraps. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it over and leave it on top. And I'm going to bind this down right up to where the base of the tail was. And I'm going to cut these about the length of the tail, or a little less. At this point, I like to kind of saturate the body here with some glue. I'm going to make the underbody out of buggy nymph, which is it's a synthetic, but it's a little finer. You see the texture of that. And this is the Semi Seal, so you can see the difference in the length and the texture of that stuff. You can see how shiny it is. And this particular one, I'm gonna blend 2 different colors together here to get. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is going to be my underbody. So I don't want it too thick. I just want kind of a sparse underbody. We're going to do this in a loop, which I don't do too much of, but it's pretty effective this way. So for the underbody, I'm just going to get this on my thread. Too much here. I'm going to dub this on just like I would normally, just to make a body.
What is that, the marabou?
No, that's buggy nymph.
Buggy nymph.
Okay, then what I'm going to do, and I didn't bring my regular dubbing loop tool, but anyway, I'm going to put this in this dubbing loop tool. I'm going to make a loop, and then I'm going to bring this all the way forward up to the bead. So now I'm going to keep the loop open with my fingers. I'm going to take this long dubbing, and I'm going to stick it in here on top of this other dubbing. And you don't need too much. You want this kind of sparse and airy. I'm going to use two different colors in this one. Okay, so now I've got it all in there. So now I'm gonna twist it and spin it into a chenille. It's gonna look pretty ragged. Find it better just like I do the peacock. I just take it out of there. And I'm gonna start to wind it. And as I wind it, I'm gonna fold it back. Every wrap, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna pull the dubbing back toward the tail. Figured it right, you'll end up right at the head with just about the right amount. I got kind of lucky this time. So I'm going to tie that off. Pull it back. Sure it's bound down good, and then what I like to do is just take a little bit of this buggy nymph. I'm going to use it to cover up the thread where I'm going to whip this off. The underbody's buggy nymph, but you can use, it doesn't matter, you can, on the underbody, whatever you want, whatever you've got. I just kind of like something synthetic. And I'm just going to whip it off, and as you whip it off, the thread should just sink right down into that dubbing, and you can't see the thread. And at this point, I want to put a little bit of head cement. Put a little bit of head cement right in there. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my super tool. This is absolutely the best dubbing brush for 2 cents. Yeah, a piece of Velcro on a popsicle stick. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go in here and you'll see how this stuff really works. You just go in here and grab this stuff and just start pulling it out, kind of pulling it toward the back. You just want to pull this thing out and make it kind of airy. And then whatever you pull out of there, you can just pick off this tool and put it right back in the rest of your dubbing. And you can kind of fiddle with it, trim it a little bit. But basically, that's what you want. When that thing gets in the water, man, it just pulsates and it's almost translucent, and it'll kind of jig on you because you've got that extra weight up in front. Simple.